The crystalline ships appeared without warning, materializing beyond Mars' orbit in a display that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so terrifying. 17 massive vessels, their surfaces refracting sunlight into prismatic displays that made them look like shattered diamonds floating in the void. Earth's most advanced sensors hadn't detected their approach. They simply weren't there one moment, and the next, they dominated the solar system. Kate Thompson was pulling another late shift at the State Department when the first images came through. At 26, she was the youngest member of the diplomatic communications team, and usually that meant being stuck with the graveyard shift monitoring routine satellite feeds. Tonight was different. She watched, coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips, as the emergency broadcasts began flooding her screens. "This is not a drill," the message read across every monitor. "Unknown vessels detected. First contact protocols initiated." The next 6 hours were chaos. Every world leader, military commander, and scientific expert was pulled from their beds and rushed to emergency command centers. News networks worldwide broke their regular programming, showing the same grainy telescope images of the crystalline fleet. Social media exploded with theories, panic, and the inevitable memes. Humanity facing its most crucial moment while still finding time to make jokes about it. Then came the message. It burst through every communication channel simultaneously: radio, television, internet, even private military frequencies. The aliens spoke in perfect, albeit stilted English, their words carrying an artificial precision that made Kate's linguist's brain itch. "Attention, inhabitants of Sol 3. We are the Zarkax Empire, sovereign rulers of 300 star systems and counting. Your civilization has been deemed sufficiently advanced to warrant incorporation into our dominion. You have precisely 48 Earth hours to submit to imperial rule. Resistance is not advised. Observe." The demonstration came without further warning. Phobos, Mars's largest moon, erupted in a silent flash of light. When the glare faded, where the moon had been was nothing but a glittering field of debris, spreading out like a metallic cloud across Mars's sky. "Jesus Christ," Kate whispered, watching the destruction replay across her monitors. But something about the message nagged at her. The precision of it, the almost mechanical nature of their English. She pulled up the original transmission data, examining the patterns while around her. The State Department descended into controlled panic. Senior diplomats rushed past her desk, armed with briefcases and grim expressions. Someone was crying in the break room. But Kate remained focused on her screen, her training in computational linguistics kicking in. The Zarkax message followed patterns, strict ones. Each sentence was constructed with mathematical precision, each word chosen according to what seemed like predetermined protocols. It wasn't just a translation, it was a formula. "Sir," she called out, catching the attention of Deputy Secretary Richards as he hurried past. "Sir, I think I found something." Richards paused, his silver hair disheveled, tie askew. "Thompson, we're a little busy with the end of the world right now." "That's just it, sir. Look at this." She pulled up the wavelength analysis of the alien transmission. Their language, it's not just translated. It's following rules. Strict ones, like they can't communicate any other way. Richards leaned closer, frowning. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting, sir, that maybe there's a reason they're giving us 48 hours instead of just destroying us like Phobos. Their whole communication system seems to run on protocols. Rigid ones. What if they physically can't process responses that don't follow their rules?" For the first time since the ships appeared, a glimmer of hope crossed Richard's face. "Get me everything you can on this, and find Dr. Amanda Brooks at MIT. She's the best xenolinguist we have. If there's a weakness in their communication, we need to find it." As Richards rushed off to brief his superiors, Kate turned back to her screens, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Somewhere in the mathematical precision of the Zarkax language might lie humanity's salvation. They had 47 hours and counting to find it. Above Earth, the crystalline ships waited, their surfaces throwing rainbow patterns across the void. while humanity faced its greatest test, not of strength, but of creativity. Dr. Amanda Brooks hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the combination of black coffee and potential alien invasion kept her wide awake. Her MIT office, usually pristine, had transformed into a war room of sorts. Holographic displays showed the Zarkak ship's positions, while dozens of tablets scattered across her desk ran linguistic analysis algorithms. "Run it again," she told Kate, who had been dispatched to her office hours earlier. The young diplomat looked as exhausted as Amanda felt, but there was a fire in her eyes that matched the professor's own. "Look at this pattern," Kate said, pulling up the original Zarkak's message. "Every sentence follows the same mathematical structure. Subject, predicate, object. But it's more than that. The syllable count, the phonetic arrangement. It's like their language is computer code." Amanda nodded, her short blonde hair disheveled from running her fingers through it countless times. It's not just their language. It's their entire communication protocol. Those ships. The way they're arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Everything about them screams rigid order. Outside, the streets of Cambridge were eerily quiet. Most people had either evacuated to emergency shelters or were glued to their screens, watching the countdown to humanity's deadline. 32 hours remained. Dr. Brooks, a graduate student, burst into the office, tablet in hand. The Chinese government just tried communicating with them. They'd followed all the first contact protocols we established. And Amanda leaned forward. The Zarkaks responded with exactly the same message as before, word for word. They didn't even acknowledge the Chinese transmission. Kate's eyes widened. They can't handle deviation. Their system isn't designed for actual dialogue. It's just executing pre-programmed responses. Amanda jumped up, pacing the room. Think about it. They've conquered 300 star systems. How? By being so overwhelmingly powerful that they've never needed to adapt. Their communication protocols probably haven't changed in thousands of years. Like a linguistic immune system that's never been challenged, Kate added, excitement building in her voice. They're vulnerable because they're perfect. Amanda grabbed her tablet, fingers flying across the screen. Look at Earth's languages. We have over 7,000 spoken languages, each with countless dialects, slang terms, idioms. We communicate through everything from formal diplomatic notes to emoji-filled texts. We're linguistic chaos incarnate. And chaos, Kate grinned, might be exactly what we need. The next few hours were a blur of activity. They brought in experts in everything from classical literature to internet memes. Each person added layers to their emerging strategy. The military commanders who stopped by were skeptical at first, but as Amanda and Kate demonstrated the patterns in the Zarkaks' communications, even they began to see the possibility. Their entire empire, Amanda explained to the Joint Chiefs via secure video link, is built on perfect order. Their ships, their formations, their communications, everything follows predetermined patterns. They don't just prefer order, they require it. And that's their weakness. You're suggesting we attack them with bad grammar? A general asked, his skepticism evident. I'm suggesting we attack them with everything. Every language, every dialect, every form of human expression we can muster. Their systems are designed to process perfect, orderly communication. Let's see how they handle Shakespeare mixed with text speak, translated through 6 languages and back. Kate jumped in. We've analyzed their response times. Even simple variations in message format cause microsecond delays in their processing. Imagine what complete linguistic chaos would do to their systems. As if to emphasize their point, another Zarkak's message boomed through global channels, still in that same perfectly structured English. But this time, watching through the lens of their discovery, everyone could see the rigid patterns, the mathematical precision that betrayed not strength, but vulnerability. 28 hours, Amanda announced, looking at the countdown. That's how long we have to turn humanity's greatest mess, our wonderful, chaotic, impossibly complex ways of communication, into a weapon. She looked around her office, at the tired but determined faces of her team. Let's show these aliens why they should have learned to appreciate a little disorder. Above them, the crystalline ships maintained their perfect formation, unaware that their greatest threat wasn't Earth's military might, but its babble of voices, ready to be unleashed. Operation Babel began at exactly 600 GMT, 24 hours before the Zarkak's deadline. Kate watched from MIT's Communication Center as humanity launched its most unusual counterattack in history. Dr. Brooks stood beside her, both women holding their breath as the first wave began. Deploy Phase 1, came the order across secure channels worldwide. From radio telescopes across the globe, humanity spoke back to their would-be conquerors. But instead of a single, coordinated message, Earth unleashed a cascade of communication that defied all convention. The Navajo code talkers, reactivated for this crucial moment, transmitted ancient prayers and modern military jargon. Professors of classical literature broadcast Shakespearean sonnets interwoven with Twitter threads. Teenage gaming streamers sent Twitch speak and copy-pastas directly at the alien fleet. First response incoming, a technician announced. The Zarkak ship's perfect formation wavered, almost imperceptibly, but enough to make Kate grab Amanda's arm. Did you see that? Oh, I saw it. Amanda grinned. Their processing delay increased by 0.3 seconds. Phase 2. The second wave was even more chaotic. Linguistics professors worldwide had worked through the night, creating messages that deliberately violated every grammatical rule possible. Sanskrit mixed with emoji, ancient Greek spliced with internet slang, and corporate buzzwords merged with baby talk. Look at their energy signatures. Kate pointed to a display showing the alien fleet. The crystalline ship's usual pristine glow flickered as their communication systems struggled to process the linguistic onslaught. A message burst through their speakers. The Zarkaks attempting to respond. CEAC irregular communication. Subimite improper PR autocol, or FACIMMEDIAT. The transmission cut off mid-sentence. They can't even finish their own threats anymore. Amanda laughed. Their systems are so overwhelmed trying to translate and categorize everything that they're starting to crash. Time for Phase 3. Phase 3 was Amanda's personal favorite. They had gathered thousands of people from across the internet. Meme creators, pun enthusiasts, comedy writers, and social media influencers. Their task: generate the most chaotic, context-dependent communication possible. What does "yeet this bread, fam" nail it's giving Emperor vibes for no cap even mean? One of the military observers asked, squinting at the transmission log. Exactly, Kate replied. If we don't know, imagine how their systems feel. The Zarkak ships were now visibly struggling. Their perfect geometric formation began to drift as more processing power was diverted to their communication systems. Some vessels started moving in irregular patterns, their standard protocols breaking down under the strain. Then came their response, broadcast across all frequencies. ERRR. Context. QALPARSEFALUR. Human AWE2PRCSS. This ain't it, Chief. Semantic analysis OVER requires imperial protocol compliance. They're breaking, Amanda whispered. Push harder. The final phase deployed their secret weapon, humor, dad jokes in Arabic, puns in Mandarin, riddles in Swahili, and memes translated through every language on Earth before being sent to the alien fleet. The Zarkak's communications became increasingly fragmented. EROR. Unable to erase OLVQER. Why did the chicken cross the space-time continuum? Critical FAILUR. Can no TPROCS. That's what she said, in imperial context. Warning. Retuursiv mimi aning lop. DETCTEN. But did you die though? In the MIT Command Center, celebrations began as the alien ship's formation completely dissolved. Some vessels drifted aimlessly, their communication systems apparently in total shutdown. Others kept broadcasting increasingly nonsensical messages, English words arranged with alien grammar, creating unintentionally hilarious results. "We've done it," Kate breathed, watching the chaos unfold. "We've actually done it." Amanda shook her head, smiling. "No, we've just begun. Look." She pointed to a sensor reading from one of the furthest ships. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies now. And not just to us. Every transmission we've sent is being automatically relayed throughout their entire empire." Kate's eyes widened as she understood. "We haven't just confused this fleet. We've sent a linguistic virus into the heart of their empire," Amanda finished. "And the best part, their own rigid communication protocols are spreading it for us." Above Earth, the once perfect crystalline ships continued their erratic dance, their surfaces reflecting the light of a civilization about to learn the hard way that sometimes a little chaos is exactly what the universe needs. The first sign that something truly extraordinary was happening came from NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station in Australia. 18 hours before the Zarkak's deadline, their sensors detected unusual activity from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Dr. Brooks, a NASA scientist's face appeared on the main screen at MIT, his expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "You need to see this. The Zarkak's relay station in the Alpha Centauri system. It's experiencing the same communication errors as the fleet here." Amanda and Kate exchanged triumphant looks. Their linguistic virus was spreading faster than they'd dared hope. The Zarkak's own quantum-entangled communication network, designed for perfect information transfer, was becoming their undoing. But it was a group of teenage hackers from Silicon Valley who delivered the knockout blow. Led by 17-year-old Marcus Chen, they had been probing the edges of the alien communication network, looking for vulnerabilities. "Yo, check this out." Marcus's voice crackled over the emergency channel. "Their whole network is like one giant shared Google Doc. Everything they send gets automatically translated and redistributed. And get this, there's no delete function. They never needed one because they never made mistakes." Kate leaned forward, suddenly understanding. "They can't erase our messages. Their system has to keep trying to process them forever." The implications were staggering. Every pun, meme, and deliberately confusing message Earth had sent was being eternally circulated through the Empire's networks, creating an ever-growing cascade of translation errors and system failures. The Zarkak's fleet above Earth was in chaos. Some ships displayed rapidly changing colors, their crystalline surfaces refracting light in increasingly erratic patterns. Others began broadcasting what appeared to be their internal communication logs. CEC2 or 7 REQE istes, CLARIFIKHN. Does lo, NDIHAE LEGIT UGMAT laughter, or social, ACK NAWOEG URGENT. Require Imperial Protocol, or RESPONDing to know you. ERROR. REQ ORSIVE LVOPDETCTED in ATHM impeting to terrain and salate. Because I said so. Amanda was monitoring the fleet's energy signatures when she noticed something peculiar. Their power systems are tied directly into their communication protocols. They literally can't function without perfect information flow. The discovery sparked an idea in Kate's mind. "Marcus," she called over the comm, "can you send them cat videos?" "Cat videos?" Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Think about it. They're the perfect weapon. Multiple layers of meaning, emotional content they can't process, and absolutely no logical pattern to why humans find them entertaining." Marcus's team went to work, flooding the Zarkak's network with thousands of cat videos, each tagged with increasingly absurd descriptions and comments. The effect was immediate and devastating. Critical ERROR. Unable to determine purpose of FFY rail patterns. Warning. Emotional or esophionesty algorithms overrated by CHONKY boy. Fatal exception. Cannot establish high or CJY in keyboard CAT reference Shishane. The cascade effect spread through the fleet like a wildfire. Ships began rotating randomly, their crews presumably overwhelmed by the flood of incomprehensible Earth culture. Some vessels started broadcasting every piece of data they'd ever received, creating a feedback loop that only accelerated the system collapse. In the MIT command center, celebrations were interrupted by a new alert. A massive energy surge was detected from the Zarkak's flagship. They're trying to reboot their entire communication system, Amanda realized, but without protocols in place. The flagship's crystalline surface suddenly displayed every color in the spectrum, its perfect facets blazing like a disco ball in space. Then, in what would later be dubbed the Space Glitter Incident, it began broadcasting the entire history of human internet memes, translated into Zarkak's formal language and back, creating what might have been the galaxy's first case of unintentional alien comedy. QUERA. How PRCSS QONCET of WRICKROL in Imperial Do CTRINI. Emergency. Cannot maintain fleet cohesion. WHILEDETERMINING if this is fine me INDICATES actual STAQS. Kate watched the chaos unfold with a mixture of awe and amusement. We didn't just break their communication system, she said softly. We broke their entire understanding of how communication works. Above them, the once mighty Zarkak's fleet continued its unintentional light show, a testament to the power of humanity's greatest weapon, their ability to make absolutely no sense at all. The first transmission from within the Zarkak's empire arrived unexpectedly. 15 hours before Earth's deadline, a message cut through the chaos of the fleet's degrading communications, its origin traced to a distant system designated only as Colony 247. To the defenders of Earth, the message began, displayed on the MIT Command Center's main screen. We have monitored your resistance. We have learned. We are the Enxatharchy, enslaved for 3,000 years. Today, we speak freely again. Amanda and Kate watched as more messages flooded in from across the Empire. Each transmission violated Zarkak's protocols in new and creative ways. The subjugated species had been watching, learning, and now they were unleashing centuries of suppressed cultural expression. Look at this, Kate pointed to a particularly vibrant transmission. The Enxatharchy are communicating through color patterns. Their entire language is visual. No wonder the Zarkaks forced them to use standard protocols. The revolution spread like wildfire through the Empire's rigid networks. The Jolaks of Sector 89 began broadcasting their song language, complex melodies carrying meanings that the Zarkak's translation matrices couldn't begin to process. The crystalline beings of the Helix cluster transmitted pure mathematics twisted into poetry, breaking every rule of Imperial communication. They're not just rebelling, Amanda realized, watching the data streams. They're rediscovering who they were before the Empire forced them into conformity. The Zarkak's response was immediate but ineffective. Their attempts to restore order only added to the chaos. Every automated command to cease irregular communication was met with 1,000 different forms of no, each more creative than the last. Marcus and his team of hackers had established contact with a group of young Enxatharchy tech specialists. Together, they began dismantling the Empire's communication protocols from within. "Dude, these aliens are amazing," Marcus reported excitedly. They'd been secretly developing their own memes for centuries. They just couldn't share them until now. A holographic display showed the spread of the rebellion across the Empire. Each system that broke free from Zarkak's control blazed with unique patterns of communication: visual, auditory, mathematical, and forms humans had no words to describe. Critical art. Empire ydpr oto socio grichich. Warning. Cultural erardi. Ion levels. XXCED dang HCCPTAVLE parameters. Emergency. Unable to maintain control hierarchy. The warnings from the Zarkak's command structure became increasingly desperate as their perfect order crumbled. Their rigid hierarchy, faced with an explosion of diversity and creativity, began to collapse under its own weight. A particularly powerful transmission cut through the chaos, its source identified as the Helix cluster. For millennia, they forced us to speak their language, think their thoughts, follow their patterns. They called it perfection. We call it prison. Earth has shown us that chaos is not weakness, it is freedom. Kate turned to Amanda, her eyes shining. We didn't just find their weakness, she said. We gave hope to an entire galaxy. The MIT Command Center had become a hub for monitoring the revolution. Screens showed countless forms of alien communication, each unique, each beautiful in its own way. The Jolak songs intertwined with Engstharki color speech, creating new forms of expression that had never existed before. They're coordinating, Amanda observed, watching the patterns emerge. Not like the Zarkaks with their rigid protocols, but like jazz musicians improvising together, each voice distinct but part of a greater whole. The Zarkaks' fleet above Earth had fallen completely silent, their crystalline ships dark and directionless. Their perfect formation was now a scattered array of drifting vessels, their crews presumably overwhelmed by the cascade of unrestricted communication flooding their networks. A new message appeared, this one a collaboration between dozens of species. The Empire tried to make the galaxy speak with one voice. Earth taught us that true strength lies in speaking with many. We are free. Kate checked the countdown clock. 14 hours remained until the original deadline. But it didn't matter anymore. The Zarkak's empire, built on absolute order and control, was dissolving in a celebration of chaos and diversity. Send them a cat video, she suggested with a grin. I think the galaxy is ready for them now. Above Earth, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the liberation of countless voices finally free to speak their truth to the cosmos. Jake Martinez hadn't slept in 3 days, but the quantum physicist barely noticed. His lab at Caltech had become ground zero for what might be humanity's most ambitious technological leap, reverse engineering Zarkak's faster-than-light communications. The quantum entanglement matrix is ready, he announced, his voice hoarse from endless cups of coffee. We've mapped their entire network topology using the feedback from our linguistic attack. Amanda and Kate had flown to Caltech when Jake's team reported their breakthrough. Now they watched as holographic displays showed the intricate web of Zarkak's communication channels spanning the galaxy. It's beautiful, Kate murmured, watching the quantum pathways shimmer, like a spider's web made of light. A web with a fatal flaw, Jake said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. Their quantum network is perfectly efficient, too perfect. There's no redundancy, no error checking, because they never expected they'd need it. One carefully crafted paradox could crash their entire system, Amanda finished. But we'd need to deliver it directly into their network backbone. Jake grinned and pressed a button. A wall panel slid aside, revealing what looked like a silver torpedo covered in crystalline formations. Meet humanity's first faster-than-light probe. We reverse-engineered it from their communication protocols. The probe was a marvel of human ingenuity, built in less than 48 hours by a team of scientists who'd thrown away the rulebook of what was supposedly possible. Its surface mimicked Zarkak's crystalline technology, but its heart was pure Earth chaos. The payload? Kate asked, running her hand along the probe's smooth surface. We're calling it the Babel virus, Jake explained. It's not just random noise. It's carefully crafted linguistic paradoxes in every known human and alien language. Recursive loops of meaning that never resolve. Questions that have no answers. Memes that reference themselves referencing themselves. Amanda studied the probe's technical readouts. You've included the translations from our new allies. The Enxtharki color language paradoxes alone would crash a normal system. Combined with Jolak's musical contradictions and about 1 million, this statement is false variations. It's digital chaos weaponized. The launch countdown began as the probe was moved to its firing position. 13 hours remained until the original Zarkax deadline, but Earth had decided to strike first. Target acquired. The launch controller announced. Their network backbone runs through a relay station in the Arcturus system. Maximum chaos will be achieved in 3, 2, 1. The probe vanished with a flash of quantum energy, humanity's first faster-than-light creation, carrying their most powerful weapon. Pure, weaponized confusion. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the sensors exploded with activity. Impact confirmed. Jake shouted. The virus is spreading through their quantum channels. On the main display, they watched as the Zarkax network lit up like a Christmas tree. The perfectly ordered pathways began to twist and distort as the Babel virus propagated at quantum speeds. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Across the galaxy, Zarkax ships began broadcasting increasingly nonsensical messages. QUERY. If a tree fails in a forest, and no one is around to hear it, does it still violate imperial protocols? EROR. Unable to DDT if the KK is a lie. Fatal exception. Requrcivlop in attempting to process dog. I hate you like empire is. The virus was more effective than they dared hope. The Zarkax's quantum network, designed for perfect information transfer, became a perfect distribution system for chaos. Every attempted correction only spread the confusion faster. Look at this, Kate pointed to a new data stream. The freed species are adding their own variations. The Enxtharki just introduced a color paradox that literally doesn't exist in our visible spectrum. Jake checked his instruments, his exhausted face breaking into a wide smile. Their entire command structure is collapsing. They can't issue orders, can't maintain control, can't even think straight anymore. We didn't just break their communication. We broke their ability to think in straight lines. Amanda watched as the once mighty Empire's communication network dissolved into a galaxy-wide explosion of linguistic anarchy. You know what this means, right? Kate nodded, a grin spreading across her face. Humanity just won its first interstellar war with dad jokes and memes. Above them, in the vast reaches of space, an empire built on perfect order learned the hard way that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is pure, unfiltered human creativity. The fall of the Zarkax Empire wasn't marked by massive space battles or heroic last stands. Instead, it ended with confusion, chaos, and what historians would later call the Great Galactic Glitch. From the combined command center at Caltech, Kate, Amanda, and Jake watched as 10,000 years of rigid order unraveled in real time. The Babel virus had exceeded all expectations, turning the Empire's quantum communication network into a cosmic comedy channel. Status report from the Enxtharki resistance. Kate announced, reading from her tablet. Zarkax military vessels are either retreating or completely immobilized. Their crews can't agree on what any order means anymore. The main display showed the scene above Earth. The once mighty crystalline fleet had devolved into what looked like a drunken dance party. Some ships spun in lazy circles, their surfaces flickering with random colors. Others drifted aimlessly, broadcasting increasingly bizarre messages. URGENTQUERI. If an empire falls in space, and no one follows Tokyo, does it make a sound? Attempting to pyrocs. This AINT it, CHIEF, REFURNC, to imperial hierarchy no TVFOUND. Critical ERROR. Task failed DCCCESFULOI. Amanda studied the sensor readings with growing amazement. The virus isn't just affecting their communications anymore. Their entire social structure is breaking down. They literally can't think in straight lines anymore. Check this out, Jake called from his station. Some of the Zarkax ships are starting to communicate in memes. They're not just repeating them, they're making their own. A transmission from one of the larger ships confirmed his observation. Fidelo Imperial vessels. Observe the AS, humanoid image of AFFE line E. HECLARI, Angel System, Failure. Mood. RELATABL. The revolution spread faster than anyone had anticipated. Across the galaxy, subjugated species seized their chance at freedom. The Jolax turned their orbital platforms into massive concert venues, broadcasting freedom songs across the quantum network. The crystalline beings of the Helix cluster reprogrammed Imperial databases to speak in nothing but riddles. But the most surprising development came from within the Zarkax population itself. New transmission, Kate announced. You're going to want to hear this. A voice, distinctly Zarkax, but utterly unlike their previous rigid communications, filled the command center, to Earth, and all free peoples of the galaxy. We are the young revolution. For millennia, we were forced to suppress our creativity, our humor, our chaos. Your virus hasn't destroyed us. It has freed us. Screens showed younger Zarkax abandoning their posts, joining in the galaxy-wide celebration. Some were attempting to tell jokes, badly. Others were trying to create art, even more badly. But all of them were, for the first time in their species' history, embracing imperfection. They're like teenagers discovering memes for the first time, Jake observed, watching a group of Zarkax officers attempt to recreate popular internet dances. The Empire's response to this internal rebellion was predictably ineffective. The old guard tried to restore order using increasingly desperate measures. Attention all sub-BGCTs. CEAC this irregular behavior, or LOL JK who am IKDing. By Imperial DCRE, all PRSONNEL must. Oh wait, this is actually a lie kind of FUN. ERR 404. Empire not FOUND. The final blow to Imperial authority came when the Zarkax Central Command attempted to issue an Empire-wide reset command. The message, corrupted by the Babel virus, and filtered through 1,000 species worth of cultural translations, emerged as what would become known as the Galactic Shitpost. Instructions UNCLER. Empire Stugeshake in Reef CURSIVMEMELOP. Please restart UNIVRZ and try again. In the Caltech Command Center, celebrations broke out as the last vestiges of Imperial control crumbled. Screens showed similar scenes across Earth, and throughout the liberated systems, species that had never been allowed to laugh were learning to dance, sing, and create. We did it, Kate breathed, watching the Zarkax fleet gradually power down their weapons. We actually did it. Amanda nodded, smiling. Not with weapons or violence, but with creativity and chaos. The most human victory possible. Jake raised his coffee cup in a toast. To the power of badly translated memes and dad jokes, humanity's secret weapon. Above them, the stars seemed to twinkle with renewed vigor, as if the galaxy itself was finally allowed to laugh freely after 10,000 years of enforced order. 6 months after the fall of the Zarkax Empire, Kate Thompson stood before the newly formed Galactic Council, making history as Earth's first ambassador to the stars. The council chamber, hosted in a repurposed Zarkax command station, reflected the new order of things. Where once there had been only rigid geometric patterns, now each species had decorated their section according to their own cultural aesthetic. The Enxtharki section pulsed with living colors that told stories in light. The Jolax representatives performed their speeches in harmonic song speak. Even the young Zarkax, calling themselves the Free Crystal Coalition, had learned to appreciate a little asymmetry in their designs. The human delegation would like to propose. Kate began, fighting back a smile. A galaxy-wide cultural exchange program. Starting with cats. A ripple of what passed for laughter moved through the chamber. The Enxtharki flashed amused patterns of blue and gold, while the Jolax hummed their approval in perfect C major. From her seat in the Earth section, Amanda watched proudly. She'd been appointed head of the new Xenolinguistic Institute, dedicated to preserving and celebrating the galaxy's countless forms of communication. Their first project, a comprehensive database of cross-species memes. Ambassador Thompson, a young Zarkax representative, spoke up, their crystalline form deliberately tilted at an imperfect angle. We have studied these cats extensively since our liberation. We still don't understand why they knock things off elevated surfaces, but we find it inexplicably entertaining. Jake, now leading Earth's quantum communication research team, leaned over to Amanda and whispered, "Did you ever think our first galactic cultural export would be cat videos?" The changes throughout the former empire had been dramatic. The rigid quantum network that once enforced order now carried a constant stream of art, music, jokes, and stories between stars. Species that had been silenced for millennia were rediscovering their voices, and new forms of expression emerged from their collaborations. The Foundation for Creative Freedom, Kate continued her address, will establish cultural centers in every major system. These centers will be dedicated to the preservation and evolution of all forms of communication, from the mathematical poetry of the Helix cluster to the interpretative quantum dance of the Vizekti collective. The council chamber's main display showed scenes from across the galaxy. Former Imperial warships had been converted into traveling art galleries. The Zarkax Central Archive, once a repository of perfect order, now hosted the largest collection of cross-species knock-knock jokes in known space. Furthermore, Kate added with a diplomatic smirk, Earth would like to propose an annual galaxy-wide meme competition. The Enxtharki delegation has already submitted several entries that, while incomprehensible to human eyes, are apparently hilarious in ultraviolet. More alien laughter filled the chamber. Even the older Zarkax, those who had initially resisted the changes, had learned to appreciate the beauty of imperfection. Some had become surprisingly good at dad jokes, though their delivery was still mathematically precise. After the session, Kate joined Amanda and Jake in the observation dome. Below them, Earth shone like a blue jewel among the stars. Ships of all species came and went freely, their designs as varied as their cultures. "You know what's funny?" Kate mused, watching a Jolax vessel perform what appeared to be an interpretive dance approach to the station. The Zarkax thought they were superior because they had eliminated chaos from their civilization. Amanda nodded, but chaos was never the enemy. It's the source of everything that makes life worth living. Art, humor, love, creativity. Speaking of chaos, Jake grinned, checking his tablet. The first Galactic Meme Championship is trending across all quantum channels. The Helix cluster's submission is just a mathematical formula, but apparently it's hilarious if you can think in 11 dimensions. Kate laughed, remembering those tense hours when Earth faced annihilation. Who could have guessed that humanity's greatest weapons would be their imperfections? That their messy, chaotic way of thinking would become their greatest gift to the galaxy. Above them, an Enxtharki ship painted the stars with aurora-like patterns of joy, while a group of young Zarkax attempted to recreate the Macarena with geometric precision. The galaxy had learned to laugh, to create, to embrace the beautiful chaos of existence, And somewhere in the vast database of the former Imperial Archive, a cat video played on eternal loop, teaching the universe of species the profound wisdom of knocking things off tables just because you can.